The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by the Elite Experience, Elite Shotguns, and is fueled by Fiocchi.
Paul?
Welcome to the Dead Pair Podcast, coming in hot with everything you want to hear about sporting clays.
Guy Fieri.
How are you, gentlemen? Thanks for having me.
Anthony Matarese Jr., how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well.
Welcome back, David Radulovich.
That's a net positive. Brad Kidd.
Corey Kruse. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Now I feel awkward.
With your hosts, Jason
One
Rambo
more Red Bull for you.
and Sean Alley.
Woo, yeah!
Christmas.
Let's do it.
Often imitated but never duplicated. It's the Dead Pair Podcast. And now, it's showtime.
What's up, Mr. Alley?
Well, this is neat. We actually sent Chad out on assignment for a change.
Yeah, and he's just one of those overachievers.
Oh, well, that's Chad.
We told him 4 or 5 interviews. I think there's like 10 or 11 on here. I mean,
That's all right. That's all right.
Hey, listen, anybody that wanted a star-packed podcast, this one's it, man. I mean, he's got every one of the big names you want to get in there just about. Did a fantastic job. I've listened to some of them. They sound phenomenal. But, hey, we've got a tourney talk we got to get to right now.
It's Tourney Talk. Brought to you by Score Chaser.
All right, just one announcement. It is a big one. The 2024 World English at M&M is up for May 14th through the 19th. Scheduled to open on May 3rd. So once again, the World English at M&M 2024. Put that in your calendars.
Yep, it's up and ready to go. Also, we have a very cool announcement real quick. Randolph Engineering is generously donating a couple of glasses for a giveaway. Now, these things are really cool. We're going to have pictures of them up on the internet. You can see them on Facebook, Instagram. I'm sure, you know what? I might put a picture on this on the YouTube. By the way, we're jumping way ahead of ourselves here, Sean. People don't know that these interviews also have live shooting action footage from the U.S. Open.
Right, yeah.
So do yourself a favor, get over to our YouTube channel and listen to this podcast and watch these guys shoot as you're listening to them talk. But we'll put a picture up on YouTube of one of the glasses. Now, here's the contest. There's going to be a bucket of empty shotgun hulls. Fiocchi little rhinos, by the way, Sean Alley.
Yeah.
And you have to guess how many is in the bucket. The first person to come as close or guess the actual number gets the glasses, and the guy that came next to them is going to get the other pair of glasses. There's 2 pairs of glasses with Ranger hats. These are very cool. I think when you see them, you're going to definitely want to get in on this contest. But just send us an email with your answer. And then when you win, if you win, we want you to please post and make sure and tag Ranger on Facebook and Instagram.
Right, absolutely. And we'll get a picture of that up on our Facebook page very soon.
Yes. We've announced it in a previous podcast. We will be doing a Dead Pair Podcast tournament down at Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports, December 1st and 2nd. And we can go ahead and make this official at least for the main event. We are doing $50 back to class.
Woohoo! Big money.
So, yes.
Big money.
And we're working on more than that for the additional tournaments. I mean, we're going to have VTask, 5-stand, prelim.
Right.
Working on doing some payouts for them too. So,
and Jason and I get to set all the targets.
And we're setting all the targets. So, okay. So just to recap real quick. Thank you very much. Elite Shotguns, Fiocchi USA, Bear Pelt, Atlas Traps, RE Ranger, Odo Pro Technologies, Rhino Chokes, Vero Beach Clay Shooting Sports, White Flower Targets, and of course, Don Grant and Score Chaser. Again, Score Chaser, the tournament is up for the 2024 World English and M&M. Get signed up for that. In the short-term interim, get signed up for our shoot down at Vero Beach.
Yeah, it'd be a nice place. Yeah, it'd be a nice place to be in December.
Yeah, for sure. And
especially up north here.
Yes. And get in on this Ranger giveaway. I'm telling you guys are going to love it. Let's get this over to Chad Roberts.
I'm here with Clint Hinton. This is Chad Roberts from the Dead Pair Podcast. So, Clint, I was right behind you on the day one yesterday on the blue course. What'd you think of it?
Very good quality targets. I was very satisfied with everything that we saw. Everything was set appropriate for the wind. you had plenty of time to shoot at everything, so there was really no excuse to miss much. There was some challenging pairs. There was a couple birds that had distance on it, but other than that, the course ran very well and everything flowed very well.
Excellent. So I noticed you're not on the super squad. Do you think that affects performance at all?
I would believe to some degree it does, because the pressure's kind of taken off of you to an extent. And that way, like this week, I'm shooting with guys from Georgia. They're right here with me. My dad's with me, so you're used to shooting with guys that you're comfortable with. But yeah, if you're on that super squad, to some degree, there is a little bit more added pressure, because that's just something that's sitting in the back of your mind. You're focused on what you're trying to do, but then the three guys that are with you on the squad, you're looking at what they're doing constantly. So there's a bit of added pressure into it.
So I was watching you a little bit yesterday, and you're really smooth. So let's run it down a little bit. What kind of gun do you shoot, chokes, and load for the desert here?
So right now I'm shooting a Krieghoff Parcours standard, no porting, nothing like that, nothing added, just shooting a factory stock, shooting a pair of thin wall extreme titaniums and a pair of modifieds, just shooting 1 ounce 1290 AA8s, and just letting it eat, not changing chokes, just focusing on the task at hand.
Excellent. So what do you think of the desert?
I hadn't been out here in about 7 years, so it's just as windy as I remember. So it's seeing the bios, and that's another challenge, is making sure you've got plenty of choke, plenty of load, right shot for the bios that we have. A matter of fact, one of those that I missed yesterday, I dusted. You look like a bag of flour exploded, no pieces at all. I said, so technically I only missed one. But seeing that, it's like, yep, you just have to reassure yourself that you're shooting the right chokes, right load out here, especially for the targets at hand.
Do you change up any of your concepts or techniques because we're in the desert at a little bit of elevation? We're at 2,700 feet here, or approximately. It's about 2,640 or something, and it's dry air, thin air, a little thinner than what you're maybe used to.
Yes, I don't get in a rush shooting the targets that we have. There's not a lot of distance, and people that are with us, this is their first time being here, so it's the same thing I told my friends, my dad. You're going to want to throw and stretch big gaps on targets out here when you really don't need it. I've found myself on some of the targets that I'm not sure on the speed. I understand the distance, but some of the speed that looks like it could be an optical illusion, I'm finding where I'm shooting a lot more pull away on stuff as opposed to the maintain lead or sustain lead that I normally would shoot back home. So
excellent. I'm curious about that, and I'll be asking that a question a lot. Well, I appreciate your time, and good luck out there, and I'll be following you around.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're leading after day one for this event. What do you think? Does that add any pressure to you? Because there's a lot of multiple scores we still have out there, and we have, it's only the first day. Do you even look at that when you're shooting?
I haven't even looked at the scoreboard. I've heard people say, yeah, that was a heck of a score you put up yesterday. Haven't even looked. Honestly, don't care. I'm just out here to shoot, and this is a vacation for me with my family. And, if out here coming to enjoy the shoots, one thing, but coming out here and having a good score put on the board day one, day two, on the final day, whatever it is, that's just the added bonus of it. That's the beauty of it, So, yeah, there's no pressure there for me. I'm just here to enjoy it and relax and enjoy the rest of my vacation.
It is pretty cool to see you on top, though.
Yeah, well,
that's right.
It's good to hear.
Even if it's one for the first day, you never know what can happen after.
Yeah, there's always a list shakeup. You never know what can happen.
There you go. Well, good luck.
The Dead Pair.
We're with Greg Wolf. Hey, Greg, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Excellent. So you've been shooting for a million years, pretty much, that I am aware of, and you've always been a hero of mine. But, world champion back in the day. So you're here in Tucson. You've actually shot here quite a bit over the years, right?
Yeah, this is, I think, my fourth run down here. So an Open and a couple Western regionals in the past. So it's a good place to shoot. It's a different animal compared to the rest of the country. There's no doubt about that.
Absolutely. So I caught up with you out on the feed task course, and you're shooting out there. And you're just one of my favorite feed task guys to watch shoot because you're so fast. I heard through the grapevine that you guys had a little bet going out there for some chip shooting. So can you tell me about the winner and how did it go?
Yeah, we've been doing this over the years for a long time, but it's always been Kruse and I have been doing it, and it's. I mean, obviously you have to break your targets, but it's all about who shoots the most chips on the singles.
And who won on this one?
We ended up tying in the end, so we had to have a little shoot off, and he got me in the shoot off, but he made up his own rules. So
That's
I think,
pretty cool. So if anybody out there has never shot feed tests before, usually they don't let you shoot chips. So this was quite an interesting thing because we were squatted right behind you, and we actually wanted to be part of that when we heard it. And, Cory's like, no way, because you'd cheat since you're not on our same squad. So we had our own only little, chip contest. But it was cool that the refs let that happen. I even had Bill Davis call one on me that I didn't see. He's like, you hit it. And so normally that doesn't happen. We were towards the end of the day.
But
it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it livens up the refs too. They've been sitting out there for 4 or 5 days watching the same birds, and you get some of us out there that are having a good time, and they enjoy that too. They like to jump in on it.
Do you find that doing that chip thing, even though it's for fun and stuff, does it make you focus on trying to hit the target the first time?
100%. It takes away the whole. I mean, you want to win. I mean, you're pushing your buddy here. Obviously we're shooting for a bunch of money, but that $20 that we got bet on this thing is the biggest part of the shoot at the moment.
That's awesome. And with a shoot off and feed test for chips is just hilarious. So I know you shot some other events with Saturday night here. How do you feel about the main event targets so far?
I think the targets have been good so far. There's plenty of variety in there. The birds, close stuff, far stuff, fast stuff. There's plenty of speed out there. I'm not putting this is my first shoot of the year, so I'm not on my A game yet, but I'm enjoying the whole shoot so far.
Yeah, you've been buried in snow, kind of like us in California, right?
Yeah, we got plenty of snow.
So, out of all the events, so this is a kind of a hard question I've been asking anybody, but I wanted to know from your perspective. So, you're a new shooter, you've been doing it for a year, you finally get in and you sign up a year in advance, and you're kind of figuring out what to do. And say we're having a shoot here at Tucson Trap and Skeet Club. What would you say the event that they just have to do no matter what, even if they're not used to doing it or they're just new in the game?
You got to go for feed test, without a doubt.
Would you say that because of the rules and everything that happens in the game, or do you like the terrain that they're throwing out here? Because it is a little different in the trees back there.
It's strange shooting in the trees just because you don't see any of the traps. I mean, it really brings out the true what feed test was built after, game shooting. That's what it is. And I don't know. I love the game just because it's fun. And
it's your favorite game, would you say?
It is, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's like the F1 for you guys, right? So
yeah, it's kind of like going on a sporting course, you got to break 3 pairs. I'm like, I broke 1, I should be good, right?
Right.
That's why I enjoy about feed test. You're moving on. There's a lot of variety.
Yes. And do you like the new style format or the old style format?
I like them both. They both have their places. I understand why we run new style like this, and the World Feed Test runs 4-peg new style. Just could get more people through. So I don't know. It's more variety. I like variety.
Yeah, variety is definitely cool. And I like how you talked about it being like a game hunting, because with these bushes out there, it feels like it's a bird flying out.
Without a doubt. Yeah, you just kind of set your gun in the middle and guess where it's coming from. Half the time.
Right. So here's one for you. What, out of all the events, feed task, 5-stand in the main event and any of the other side events, what would you say is the hardest event that you've shot so far?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I got to go with the main so far. I don't know. I actually, hold on. 5-stand.
5-stand?
5-stand.
I was going to say 5-stand for myself.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was trying to block that from my memory. It was a rough one. So.
Yeah. I tell you what do you think of having a 5-stand with 5 traps like that on each one? That's kind of old school.
Yeah, that's super old school, and they did a great job with it because they didn't take it easy on us at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. They proved that you don't need 8 traps to throw a good 5-stand.
Now, do you find that can hurt the scores? Because the high is a 92, which isn't very high normally. What we see a lot of 97s, 98s in 5-stand. But you think that hurt the scores because we're shooting some of those hard targets sometimes twice in every station?
yeah. I do think that's shooting the hard birds multiple times is part of it, but it's also, just the whole Tucson thing in general. You get some wind out here, and you're going to get some wind out here.
Yeah, the mountains look like they're 10 miles away, but they're actually 50. So it does give you a different perspective of depth.
That whole depth perception when they throw that bird up in the air and you're like, well, it should be right in front of me, but no.
So based on where you come from and where you live, do you find the air and the blue in the sky is different from your blue in the sky where you're at?
Yes, without a doubt. Shooting here, like I said earlier, is a different animal than anywhere else that I can think of. I mean, it's different. It's strange.
Do you change lenses outside of your normal because of that and shooting a lot of black targets?
Yeah, actually here I shoot the darkest lenses I have. It's actually, I believe there's a lot of ground reflection. I believe the light's just coming at you at more angles than that. So I shoot the darkest lenses I do ever.
I found that too on myself actually. So and we're actually testing some stuff for Ranger, who I shoot for the desert because of that. So with that being said, working it down in the end, what kind of gun do you shoot? What kind of chokes do you shoot? What constriction and what loads do you shoot? And do you change them for shoots like this out in the desert?
Gun, I shoot Krieghoff.
Awesome.
Parkhurst. I love the thing. As far as what I go for ammo, Federal. And for out here, it seems like it shoots a little tighter out here. So I went to all 8s for the shoot, other than in case there's a Rabu, I got a handful of 7.5s.
Gotcha.
Chokes, I'm sporting some rhinos at the moment, trying those babies out. I was a fixed choke guy forever, but
yes,
I'm making the change. I'm making the change.
I don't even know what to say to that. People, I've been around for a long time and just know that Greg Wolf running chokes in a gun is just really weird. And a lot of these guys run tight chokes, but because we're at about 2,700 elevation, here is actually considered some of the mountainous areas of the southern part of the state. So the thinner air, different color sky. You feel it's tighter. It's
tighter all the way around.
Gotcha.
You get by shooting looser chokes out here.
So what constriction are you going to run on? Have you decided to do in your?
I haven't decided all the way yet. So I've been toying with a couple 17s this weekend and a little bit less than that.
That's
and them 17s they're pretty deadly.
I love the 7s. I love the 17s and the 22s. Man, you got it's pretty good. I hear you there. So I saw you. I've been filming you and you've been shooting on Cory's Kruse squad. I see you shooting with him a lot. Obviously, you guys are best friends. You've been doing this for a while. Do you guys feed off each other? Do you think having a good squad like that helps or hurts you when you have a best friend like that shooting with you? Do you guys really talk about it before you shoot, or do you shoot first and then talk later?
It's we've been doing this so long that we're not afraid to go slap each other upside the head if we're doing something stupid or making mistakes. And I definitely think it helps a lot. And I don't know. I don't know. We know how each other shoot, and we can see when stuff's going wrong. And you figure that out too, where you want to you be like, hey, come on, let's go, or just be like, all right, well, when we get done, we'll figure out what's going on here.
Awesome. So it's not like, and you guys kind of plan that too, right?
Yeah, we always try to
never can get on their squad. That's why I'm saying this, people, because I really want to shoot with Cory and Greg, but I never get to because they got their squads all filled up. But if you ever get a chance, or if you ever run across these guys in your squad, feel free to ask them questions. They are the best in the game. I tell you what, even if your scores don't show it sometimes, Greg, I've seen you shoot for years and years, and you know what to do in this game, and I can't wait till you bring it back again.
Yeah, we all have our good days and our bad days, and looking forward to getting back up on the top of the podium.
So. There you go. So congratulations so far. What do you think so far in the main? Who do you got? You still running pretty strong there?
Yeah, I'm not in this show, but it'll be interesting. There's a lot of people at the top of the thing, and
so that actually brings me one last question before we get done. You've obviously been to last year's U.S. Open where it was pretty crazy targets, and we have to shoot that as the top guys. And some of the lower classes, they weren't as happy. This one, obviously, you hear the lower classes say, hey, man, I shot a 45, but if I shot a little better or did a better plan, I'd shoot a 50. Do you feel like you have to just be perfect here the way the targets are? It's just enough that they could get you if you're not paying attention?
Yeah, you need to be on your game with this one. This one's a lot more user-friendly than last year, and which is good for the masses, without a doubt. I mean, we all want to hit targets, but it's really easy to miss them out there still, without a doubt.
Yep, and I think that's where they did a good job of really making it so whoever does win this is going to really – it's whoever runs the gun the best, right?
That's right, 100%.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Greg, and I appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you out there.
Awesome. Thanks, Chad.
The Dead Pair.
I'm over here with Ben McAnally after the 5-stand craziness. What do you think of that?
They were really big birds, but that's what I hope for when you come to a big event like a U.S. Open. Like it's not just a monthly, and it's fun to be tested, and there's a lot of gratification to hitting the ones that require just a ton of lead.
Did you feel like everything was hittable though out there?
Yeah, I watched some guys on my squad, break the biggest of the big birds, and it was pretty cool.
I got to watch you a little bit, and I saw you hit some of those big birds too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to be out here in the desert and just make a move that you don't get to make, back east.
So speaking of that, shooting in the desert, it's not quite like shooting in Texas. We're at a little bit of elevation here, thinner air. The blue sky is different blue. What do you think with the targets in the air? Does it make you change your way of shooting or anything like that?
No, I think that first event that you shoot when you arrive in Tucson, you kind of get used to the background, and you get used to just matching line and speed, right? I mean, birds are birds. They all break.
Do you change your techniques when you come out to the desert, since the targets are all black and not necessarily the easiest to see sometimes?
Not necessarily. I look at edges, not necessarily like the middle of the ring. So we don't need to debate whether that's right or wrong. It's just, when there's a black edge, you see a black edge and you know which way it's going, and you think about, just making an insert.
Well, one thing I've always found out, there's nothing wrong or right in this game. It's just whatever it is, right? Everybody has their opinion. So let's go down on what kind of gun do you shoot, chokes, and what load size did you use for this weekend so far?
Yeah, I shoot a Beretta, and it got a Jim Greenwood custom stock. I can't say enough great stuff about Jim and his fitting process. I kind of bounce around. I have several friends in the ammo industry. So if I was going to give a couple thumbs up, I would shout out to John and Kyle over at RC. I'd shout out to Clayton, Nance, and Randy Wright at Abel's and Bornagi. And as far as chokes, Stormy and Hannah at Briley take care of me. I've got some custom flush titanium. I like the lightweight in the front of the gun. So anyway, I keep it light. I keep it clean. Everybody asks, they say, how did you get a DT that's fixed? And I'm like, no, it's not fixed.
It's a pseudo fixed.
Yeah. It just looks good from far away.
So I notice you're wearing one of these custom bear pelts. What color is that? What do they call that? Is that an Indian design or Southwestern design?
Knowing full well that the Open was coming to Tucson, I had a couple Southwestern flare kind of vests and worked with Heather and Colleen on that stuff. So they are the best. Radulovich and I give each other a little grief back and forth. It's a monthly debate to see who has more vests. I think I've definitely paid for more vests, but that's because I give them away to gifts and do it as friends.
I'm
and so
the same way, and I shoot for them.
Yeah. No, I love having I love the customization, and like I said, lots of friends in the industry, and I like to support all of my buddies. And so there's a vest with brand A and a vest with brand B, and so on and so forth. And so bear pelt, it's so comfortable, it's so easy to shoot in. So
nice.
I super appreciate them. Big shout out to Heather and Eric.
So anything else you want to add about the Open here, since it's we're into second day of the main event, and things are getting a little heated up top?
No, I think it's great. I think these big events, you get to see the best targets, you get to interact with the best people, you get to come see the best products. And so if you're listening to this and you've not been to a nationals, a regional, an Open, a big state shoot like a Texas or a Georgia or a Florida, you just have to go, because you don't know what you're missing. And to come shoot the same targets as the pros, it's the coolest thing in this sport.
That is great to end on that note. Well, we thank you, and good luck for the rest of the week.
Yeah, come to Texas State, man. We're looking forward to having everybody.
I'll be there. Rad Chad here with the one and only Travis Mears. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Chad. Good to see you always.
Yes, sir. So I've been following you around out there on the FTAS field. So you were shooting pretty good. I saw you miss some, but I saw your scores, and you ended up doing pretty good on it.
Yeah, I miss those just to make Cory and Greg feel better.
Yeah, I look like that. Now, were you part of this little side bet thing that I heard about?
When it comes to the chip game, I back out of the side bets because Greg and Cory have quite the competition on the chips, and I think out of the last 50 birds, they killed like over 20 chips. So
yeah, it was crazy. I was
quite,
watching them.
Quite the ammunition donation they did.
Yeah, I was like, man, you guys are wasting a lot of ammo. But they were hitting them, man, so it was cool. So we actually, on our squad, we watched you do it. I told Cory I wanted to be part of it, and he said I would cheat because I wasn't on your same squad. So I did it with Alec, and I ended up winning it. And Bill Davis, actually, one of the refs came over, and he saw me hit one. I didn't think I hit it, but he was like, Chad Roberts hit it. And it was cool to have the refs involved with it. They were excited about it. It was obviously the end of the day. We saw the trash truck going around when we were still shooting. I think you guys just finished up behind us or in front of us. I know normally we can't do that. They usually poo-poo that and say no. But it was pretty cool they allowed us to do it. What do you think of that when it happens like that?
No, it was a blast. There was 3 people in our squad that were competing in that, and so it was like we were keeping score on that more than we were on our actual round. And and the guys were shooting good, so they didn't have much to shoot at.
Yeah,
they were center punching some birds.
They were hard. And Cory was like, but it makes. He told me earlier that it makes him look at the first target pretty hard, like so he doesn't miss it.
Yeah, that might be his excuse. He just likes to play around.
Yeah, it looked like he was having fun with it. So, You've been coming out to Arizona for a few times over the years. What do you think about shooting out here?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been out here, but I love to come out here. First of all, I love to go to the mountains. Although we're not in the mountains, we can see the mountains here. So it's a breath of fresh air. It's a cool place to shoot because it's totally different than, for example, what we did last year for the U.S. Open where we're in the timber. This year it's wide open. A lot of crossers. I think that's probably the biggest thing I take away from this shoot is there was more crossers than probably any shoot we'll go to just because they have the room to do it.
Lots of real estate.
Lots of real estate, a lot of blackbirds, and they're blackouts, and so, hard to see definition on them, but they're fun to shoot. They with the room and with the real estate, they can throw the crossers, but they can put a little spring on them. There was a target on the blue course that that thing came from 120 yards away.
It was crazy.
And when it crossed the station, it still had plenty of spring on it. Like, you don't get to see that very often. So,
do you feel like because of the depth perception, it looked slower than it really was?
Well, I knew because it was coming from so far away and it was still crossing the station the way it was that it had some spring on it. And,
sure.
And Greg and I actually we were laughing and chuckling and we were calling it springy. The bird's pretty springy. And
I was surprised how hard it was being thrown. I know the station you're talking about because I shot blue with you guys, and it looked a little slow at first, and I was like, wait a minute, it's going a long ways.
Oh yeah, I gapped that bird probably anywhere from 8 to 10 foot, and I was center punching it, but. After traveling 120 yards to have to put out in front of a bird that far, that's saying a lot,
Yep, and it's hard to keep your eye on the target when it's black.
yeah, there ain't
we're
much.
We're gonna have to talk to White Flyer about that. Get some color on those things or something.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because these mountains we're looking at the mountains right now. We're at 2,700 foot elevation, about 2,640. And those mountains are about 40, 50 miles away, and they look like they're 10 miles away. So everything here just
looks like you'd be there in no time.
Yeah, and you're not going to be. So if you had a choice and you're telling a new shooter or one of your students or somebody you teach or somebody from your home club to come out to, hey, we're going to go to a big shoot in Arizona, what is the one event you would say, man, you cannot not go there without shooting it?
Well, they've got a great layout on all the courses, and I would say that whether it be the main event or the super sporting, they're all kind of in the same area with same terrain, and I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges of the whole event is. Doesn't matter where you're at, everything kind of looks the same.
It does, man. You're driving around, you're like, am I in the same spot as I was 20 minutes ago?
Right. And I was chuckling about it earlier because, like, I feel like I'm the best trap shooter in the world on freaking sporting. Like, if a bird comes out, I can whack that thing. No problem. It doesn't matter how fast or how slow I can hit trap birds. But I have missed so many trap birds this week because I don't know where the trap's at.
Right. And, can't see it.
And we were on the super sporting a minute ago, and I set up for a bird, and I was ready, and I called pool, had a good plan, and unfortunately Greg was standing behind me, and he goes, to the right. And so I had to spin the gun over, and I hit the bird, fortunately, and I hit the second bird, and I turned around, I was like, golly, guys, I feel like I'm dove hunting, because I have no idea where the birds are coming from.
It's like, It's probably why Greg does pretty good because he's always unmounted, even on trap birds, I think, right?
Well, when Greg and I always have a side bet going on, and he saved me on that one. He said, "That's the last one. You owe me one."
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, out of all the events that you've shot so far, I think you've shot most of them. What would you say is the hardest one that you shot?
I think the first main we shot, the blue course, is probably the stoutest birds we've shot so far.
Even over the infamous 5-stand?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Throw the 5-stand in there.
I'm throwing all the events in there, buddy.
Yeah, let's talk about that 5-stand. The 5-stand was stout. It was really stout. It was
Did you like it? I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. There was nothing like, there was nothing stupid.
It was all hittable.
Yeah, you could shoot 22 plus on any of them for sure. But you could easily drop down to a 15 or 16.
Absolutely.
Like if you miss a lick, you're going to be in the dump pretty quick. And
do you think that's because of the fact that we only had 5 traps per machine, which I haven't seen for years, and that we're shooting some of those hard targets that they throw multiple times on every station? Sometimes
I don't know if Chad, I've been doing this since 99, and I don't know if I've ever seen a 5-stand that had 5 traps.
It's been a while. The Promatic guys told me they did so the old guys can remember where the targets come from.
Well, I think that's a great reason because there's a lot of old guys that just don't shoot the game anymore because of that.
Yeah,
so
it's too many targets.
Now, granted, here you can see all your traps because everything's flat and open. But for example, on field 4, the number 1, which was an outgoing trap bird showing a little dome from the left, starting at 35 yards and going away. And the number 4, which was a crosser from the right at 55 and edgy and under the skyline. Those are the 2 gnarliest targets I believe I've ever seen on a 5-stand, and we had to shoot them a lot.
A lot. Yep. Yeah. I didn't miss them all the time, but I missed enough of them to put me under a 20.
I missed each of them once, and I was very proud of that because they were both really nasty
Felt pretty
birds.
stoked about that.
Really nasty
I
birds.
just thought it was fun because they were hittable. I had a student that asked me, he's like, I just watched Anthony shoot it, and that looked really hard. And I said, well, this is your big first national, big championship event. I said, have you ever met Billy Big Balls? And he's like, who's that? And I go, you're going to find out who he is in about 5 minutes when we start.
He's going to find you.
And he's like, what do I? And he sat there and he was in station 1 and I was over in 4. And he looks out the cage and he looks at me and he's like, what do I do? And I'm like, just go, man. Just go and shoot. And he's like, what does that mean? I give it all you can, man.
Yeah, get in front and give it a little more.
Yeah, right. So you were over here watching Matrix, I was noticing. What do you think of that whole game?
That game's, I don't.
Does it bring back some PSCA memories?
I bring no negativity, but it's got a little fine tuning to do. For example, last night I missed the 8 on the second round, which is a 1-8 pair, and then I missed the last 8 in the last frame of the game, and I smoked everything else, and I lost. The guy I was shooting against missed 6 or 8 birds. And he beat me because he was able to double down, and he was able to catch up.
I think they were going to start making a rule where they can give the lead or whoever's in the lead one time only to be able to double down himself.
I don't know, man. I have a hard time understanding a game where the guy that hits the most loses, and I'm not even kidding, Chad. Every single game that we've shot, the guy that has hit the most has lost
because they're in front the whole time.
And so there's a lot of strategy to it. And when you qualify, it's almost a team effort to get a qualifying score. But then when you go into the championship, it's you're head to head against somebody. And so the lead is really a disadvantage, which in our game is hard to understand. And so, it's tough, but, I think they'll find.
How far did you make it in it?
I was the leader going into this.
I didn't see it, so I was interviewing somebody. So you were the leader, so you got second place.
Yeah, so I actually went in. The guy that's still shooting, shot 6 rounds with him to get him in. He took the leading seat, and I was second in the bracket. And I lost the first game last night by hitting everything except for the 8. I missed the 8 on the 1-8, and then I missed the 8 on the last pair. And the other guy missed like 6 birds, and he beat me. And I'm like,
you just wanted to throw your gun down, right?
Yeah, I shot excellent. I was proud of my shooting. I shot really good, like any other game I'd have won. You know.
But
yeah, I see some fine tuning out there. I've talked to the guys that run it, but it seems like they're trying to do something new, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah,
for
I love
us as
that. I
shooters.
love that. And we were just talking out there about some strategies on, maybe some deductions. Like if you call the double down, but if you don't get it, okay, if you hit it, you get the double points. But if you miss it, maybe you get a deduction,
right?
Which
because it's 0 right now,
right? Which gives the guy that's in the lead an opportunity to maintain a lead. And so I think who knows what they'll do, but
yeah, sure.
I'll keep shooting it.
Yeah, I think it's great. It's so getting down to the end here. What gun? What chokes? What loads do you shoot? And do you change any of that because we're in the desert?
No,
no, he doesn't change.
No, I don't change anything. I shoot a Caesar Greeny Invictus 3, which I love. It's got an M-Spec barrel. It's a 34 with a fixed mod and iMod, a Winnig custom stock. I shoot Fiocchi little rhinos, and when I need a
little rhino.
That's right. And when I need a little confidence booster, I might throw a white rhino in there.
So you do go up to a 1 1/8 every once in a while?
Every once in a while, I keep a few in my pocket in case I have to, sling a lot of lead.
You don't just go to a crusher or anything like that. You just go big.
Yeah.
Now, do you shoot 8s or 7.5s per round predominantly?
I'd probably say I was, 75%, 75% 7.5s, and then, the other 8s. But shoot peel glasses and
did you change your lenses being out here on the West Coast?
No, this is pretty good light for what I normally shoot. So I shoot the Pila 18 CEDs. That's kind of my go-to lens, which is kind of brown tint. And I've been seeing the birds well. You can't find detail like you can on an orange bird because everything out here is black. But everything's been
coming from
pretty
your
good.
background, coming off a target, pulling away and staring at the target hard, kind of makes it a little difficult sometimes, doesn't it?
It does.
You have to almost get a little barrel aware and just make sure you're making the move right.
Well, and I would say that's probably one of my faults, anyways, Chad. I'm always pretty barrel aware.
Oh, me too. So
and
it's all good.
So when
you're doing it right, though, it feels right though. So you can't deny it, right? There's no wrong or right way in this game, I found.
Yeah, and so there's points in the rounds where you just say, all right, grip it and rip it, and look at the bird and let it go, and you got the equipment and you do the practice and you put in the time and it works, but. When you're at the U.S. Open, you're giving it your all, and that's what I'm trying to do. So
any last words for any of these new people that don't come out to the big shoots as much and they want to start shooting the big tournaments and they may be on the fence? What would you tell them?
Well, I think you have to experience it. You might be the best shooter at your club. But when you come to the big show, you'll be humbled quickly because the level of competition. Okay. The level of competition is there, and the only way that you'll reach your full potential is if you put yourself in that situation a few times. And and I've been doing it a long time, and I've been in a feel like a slump over the last several years because I just haven't been able to strike at the major, but. That's only motivating to me because I'll continue to go till I get my opportunity.
Sounds like somebody I know that's on the other end of this mic.
Yeah, you just keep working hard because you have the potential. I mean, I can shoot as good as anybody, but I got to do it at the right time, and I'm still waiting for that time.
There you go. We'll get there, man. We'll get there. I like it. I like the fact that you and I we think a lot alike. We have the similar backgrounds, and we want to get it done. So we'll keep on pushing. And I love watching you shoot. Appreciate your time. And thank you from the Dead Pair.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity, bud.
All right, bud.
The Dead Pair.
Okay, I'm here over at the end of the 5 stand with the one and only John Calandro.
Yes, sir.
Would it be a junior?
It's the 4th.
It's the 4th. Holy smokes.
Yes, junior can be another name for me.
So I was like, wait, John doesn't have a beard. Wait, no, this is the wrong John, right?
Yes.
So what do you think? You just got off the 5 stand. I watched you shoot a little bit, looking really good out there.
Yes, it was tough start, but midway through, much better. Still, the targets are very testy. They are tricky, and they can get you. Away.
It was. I love the targets here, but I mean, what do you think as a competitor just running through it today? And we got a little bit of that white stuff in the sky. The blue is a little bit different blue, probably from what you're used to.
Yes, it's much different back from Texas. I mean, this whole range is just different. So, The targets were, I mean, it's still, there's not much wind. I know some competitors had a lot of wind from behind, but yeah, the targets, and you could see everything.
So do you think you have to change any of your techniques or the way you look at a target since it's different from where you're at back home?
No, definitely not. It's just your pre-shot routine, your focus, really setting up and kind of just trusting yourself.
So if you were a first-time shooter coming out here, what would you tell him to expect coming into the U.S. Open or even a big shoot here if it was a regional at Tucson Trap and Skeet Club?
I mean, really just what to expect. I mean, I would give him advice to just have fun, but yeah, just
You
trust
think
yourself.
shooting as many events as possible or
yeah,
keeping it to a minimum here, or what do you think?
Yeah, just shoot and find yourself. I mean, it's a journey, so you can find how much you can push yourself each day, and then make a decision.
I love what you said. It's a journey. I noticed you're wearing some Rangers. Are those React lenses?
Yes.
What do you think of the React in the desert?
It's perfect.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I'll show you a little secret after we're done here. Something for the future for you guys in the desert with the React model. I noticed you're wearing a bear pelt vest also. Looks pretty good. A little custom action in the back. What is that color in the back? Is it
color?
Camo?
No, it's the nickel shot. So they put all the nickel shot and on the top of the shell. So
from the RC brand,
from the
right?
RC brand, yes. So it's one of their designs.
I was wondering what you had. You have
nope.
I mean, not to be weird, but you have a bunch of balls with your back.
Yes, no, it's you got to go up there and look at it hard because it's an interesting design. So yeah,
very nice. So what kind of gun you shoot? What kind of chokes? What kind of load did you end up using for out here?
So I shoot a Blaser F3.
Excellent.
Shout out to Blaser.
Choice.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes. Chokes. I just started with the Mullers, the U3s, and Jimmy's been great, and they've performed very well. I was
excellent
shocked.
Very lightweight too.
Yes, very lightweight. And then shells, I have the RC4 red shot, the one that's plastered on my back. So it's a nickel shot.
Is it a 1 ounce or
1 ounce? 1 ounce.
You're 1 ounce guy.
Yes, 1 ounce, 1290.
Excellent.
It's a great load. But yeah, Blaser's been great. The mechanical triggers are just perfect.
Do you
the
think
inline hammers are just great for the trigger?
Isn't it great? Yeah, the whole striker fire system's pretty cool. But what do you think? Do you think some people, they see the targets here and they go, oh man, they look really far, and they may not be because it's a deception. You think they want to run the bigger loads, like 1 1/8, and put a lot of pellets out there? Or,
oh yeah,
and they just have that in their head that they got to do it.
That's the reaction. You think is especially depth perception and judging distance. There's not much behind it at all. So
and that mountain's 48 miles from us, so it looks like it's 2 miles away, but it's 48. So.
Exactly. So they probably, the reaction is probably getting an ounce and an eighth, bigger payload, longer shot strings,
blowing out their shoulders.
So that's why I said just find yourself and trust your equipment.
Or just go for it and just
yeah.
kill yourself and wreck yourself for the rest of the weekend. Exactly. That's awesome. Well, it's good to talk to you, and it's finally good to catch up with you and have a conversation.
Of course. Thanks.
No problem. All right. I'm here with Cory Kruse, and it looks like he's working on his golf cart here.
Trying to add about 5 horsepower right there.
He's trying to add 5 horsepower. What do you think about this, Cory? Is this more fun than shooting right now?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, working on stuff?
Oh, yeah, man.
I like it. You got some cords going on. Your twice pipes are put together with your twin vacuum pumps, and your backlash of your overkill switch is working.
I'm trying to readjust the flux capacitor here, and I need a swivel.
You need a swivel. That might not work. I use a shotgun shell personally, but
it won't idle with the shotgun shell.
No, it will not. It just goes. So, Cory, you've been shooting. I've been getting some documentation of you this weekend. And how'd you like that feed test? I saw your scores. It was pretty good.
And, yeah, I'm pleased with it. It was,
I saw you missed the flying little rabbit, little back-to
that rabbit that kind of hurt. And then one yesterday I just threw out in front of. But overall, it was a good feed test. I mean, when you got a 99 and a 98 or 98, 97, is that what it is? Yeah. 98, 97. It's hard to hit that many of them hanging on a string, dude.
So I saw that you had a little side bet with your squad mates, and I ended up having a side bet with my squad mates. Ended up winning by 1. How was your little side bet with chip action yesterday?
It was good. It paid about $120.
Who won it?
I did.
Very nice. Very
Against
nice.
Former world champion Greg Wolf. And winning the U.S. Open is really nice, but beating Greg playing chip on VTAS.
It was pretty nice that the refs let us do that, because they were being pretty cool to us out there. Like, go for it. And even Bill Davis came over and he says, "I saw you hit a piece, Chad." And I was like, "Nice, that's how I won mine."
Yeah, you got to have fun with it, man. And the hidden initiative behind it, you got to crush the bird or hit it on your first shot so you can have a chip. So it kind of cancels out the idea of maybe missing a single,
right?
Which
it makes you work hard.
That's right, it makes you work hard.
Hey, I've just got done being over at the Blaser tent, and I saw your pro model over there. That little F-16, dude.
That thing's sweet, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. For the price, I don't think there's a gun out there that has that kind of hop-up kit that you can put on it.
No, it's a game changer, man. It's my hope is that it'll let the public know how good, first off, the F-16 shoots, and then they'll dig a little deeper to see how good the service and the warranty deal is. And then second, to see how special Rhino can make an over and under. And if you think that a gun shoots good right out of the box, wait till Rhino puts their twist on it. And that's what we do with the Pro Series. It's basically the same setup as I've run on my F3, on my wife's F16, and pretty much any gun that I'm going to shoot. I even have that same setup on a 28 gauge hunting gun. Recoil is not fun, and you don't get anything out of getting kicked. It makes it less fun, right? Pretty dang simple. So take all of it out that you can and get the gun to fit you a little bit better, and everything comes out a lot nicer.
Very nice. Yeah, because I was excited. I took that thing apart, and then I went and shot it, and it was pretty cool. So first day's down of the Super Squad. Did all right. I saw your scores out there. I know it's the first day going in the second day today. What's your call on it with the way the weather is and everything going today?
The weather's perfect. We just actually finished the second round, so missed two birds that I probably should have hit, but I probably hit two birds that I could have missed. The course is pretty easy. I'm sitting on a 125. I missed 4 targets on my last stand yesterday that you just can't do, so that was a huge mistake, and just trying to crawl out of that. So we'll see how tomorrow shapes up. It looks like we might have a little bit of wind. Who knows out here whether it's really going to come. I guess we're on the last rotation tomorrow.
Yeah, on the blue course.
Yeah, on
right?
the blue course. So
we shot
maybe
that yesterday, and you're going to really like it. It's it's your style course.
Do you think there's a little room to make up some ground over there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
yeah. Clint Hinton actually wasn't able to get on a Super Squad. And he was on the squad in front of us, and he put it up a 66. So it's there.
Yeah.
And there's some tricky, easy stuff.
Yeah.
That a lot of people were missing around me that I saw. I threw a 60 on it, and I was pretty happy with that. That made me, competitive. But yeah, I think it's there. I think it's probably the championship course style that it should be. It has enough good stuff. Yeah, you'll like it. It's good.
I'm excited, man. I'm really surprised at the how low the scores are from yesterday and today. I heard Mike Longo and Derek Mine both straighted the white course today. No, Derek missed one, I think I heard, and Mike straighted it, which is freaking outstanding. So
yeah, it is.
And those are the kind of the scores, and I figured that was going to happen yesterday on the red, which it didn't. A lot of people struggled yesterday. I don't know if it's what it was, but the targets on red and white were pretty straightforward. Our job was to maybe get away down 1, down 2 overall. So I think we're all kind of behind the curve a little bit. Even Derek and Mike's scores are leading. So
that's good. So as always, like to check in with what you're shooting. Maybe you've changed up your equipment. So gun, chokes, and load for the weekend.
The good old trusty Blaser F3 with my Rhino chokes, my Pila glasses, my ESP earplugs, and what am I forgetting?
The Mexican hammer.
Oh yeah, my Mexican hammer.
You still running 1 ounce for the shoot? You don't change up when you come out to the desert?
No, I shoot them all the same. The Aguila 1 ounce 1275s, man. They murder these clays, man. It's really fun to watch. That was I was kidding around with Greg yesterday playing the chip game. I'm like, man, I'm gonna have to put in a cylinder choke just so I have a piece to shoot at. Because they freaking hammer birds. It's pretty.
It was pretty fun to watch. We got to watch you.
Unfair advantage.
Well, it's good to talk to you. Get back to fixing up your twice pipes and your flux capacitor, and have a good time out there.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
Rad Chad Roberts here with Clayton Nance. I just got done watching you shoot 5-stand. How was it?
That was great, man. Wind laid down a little bit, which was in our favor from the previous days, but it was good. Good targets.
How'd you like the targets?
They were good. We're in the desert, so there's lots of big black belly targets in the air, but there was a couple orange targets on the 5-stand, so that was fun.
Does it feel like it's that mountain's like 4 miles away when it's really about 50?
Yeah, that for sure. Like first couple of times out here, that mountain will mess you up, you're not used to it.
So I noticed another thing about the 5-stand is they're only running 5 machines on each layout, and that's something that we don't see too often. And I was talking to Promatic guys, and they said that they wanted just to have it move along, and it helps for the older guys to remember what targets they're getting thrown. Do you find that more of an advantage, or can it hurt you because they throw some of the harder targets more times?
Yeah, when we first got on the first 5-stand, I actually noticed that just 5 machines, but then I kind of thought it was clever because it is hard to be creative in this one big wide open space. But then the flip side of that is you shot some really hard targets twice in one cage sometimes, So I think that's partially why the scores are so low as well.
Yes, and but do you think it was fair?
I would say it's fair. Good. Good, fair targets.
So how about everything else? I know you've shot a bunch out here in the desert because I've seen you out here a bunch over the years. Do you like shooting out here when it comes out to the West? I know some people like, oh man, we're going to the desert. I don't want to do it because I'm from the East Coast or where there's more trees or background. What do you think of shooting in the desert?
Yeah, I think I'm fortunate living in Abilene. Like we are on the line of ugly. I can go 10 miles to the west and have desert, or 10 miles east and shoot in the trees. So I feel like I'm more used to shooting just in open, wide spaces than like the East Coast guys, like you mentioned. So I've always liked coming out here. Something different,
As far as the rest of the courses on the main event, do you find that you have to change your techniques or any approach to how to shoot the targets because of the wind, or even just because they're black targets, or just seeing better, or whatever it is? Do you change anything up?
I don't. Like I said, I practice so much in open spaces that I feel like I'm just used to it, But you've got to connect here because there's no reference. There's very little background, if any, to give you, speed or line or anything. So I feel like you really got to crank up the intensity, looking at the target and getting good connection.
So would you say that certain techniques from certain types of shooters might be better off here for somebody that does like more of a pull away with more connection or swing through even, compared to somebody that may maintain all the time?
Yeah, for sure. In my opinion, there's, we shoot a lot of stuff out here that's big gaps, lots of stuff at 90 degrees, lots of stuff at distance. So I think, if you're a shooter that works from out front and with some space, it's going to be easier for you than somebody that mounts on the front edge and is a pull-away guy or a swing-through guy, for sure.
Excellent. So anything you like to add about the U.S. Open this year? Do you find it comparable or more fair, less fair, more, a shooter's type of an event, meaning that you have to have a perfect round here because the targets may not be like what last year's Open were?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of backwards. Usually the side events are a little on the softer side here, especially at the U.S. Open, and the mains usually pretty cranked up and intense. And so far this week, the mains have been probably the softest events that we've shot, So thought that was just interesting. I think the scores are going to be high, especially for U.S. Open,
Excellent. But do you find that a bad thing, or is that a good thing?
I don't know that it's a bad thing. Just different. I like bigger targets. A U.S. Open at Backwoods, I had a great time. I know a lot of people thought it was over the top and too much, but I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Right. So always the age-old questions, what gun you shoot, what chokes you shoot and constriction, and what loads you shoot, and if you change them for the desert being out here in a little higher elevation, drier weather and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't make any changes. So I shoot a Beretta DT11 double E double L 32 inch. I've got a Jim Greenwood custom stock, and I shoot Mueller U3s, and I pretty much just leave them in the gun all the time. Maybe shoot a thread here or there or something, and I'm shooting Bornagi 1 ounce 1300 7.5s, and I shoot the same shell all the time.
Are those the golds?
They are the Bornagi Golds, yeah.
Those are pretty cool shells. I like those. So good. Any changes with glasses out here because of the blue or different blue sky than what you may see in Texas or even on the East Coast or farther west?
Yeah, so like I'm a purple filtration. The 40 CN's my go-to lens. Starting this week, I tried some of the browns and the orange, like the 38 CEID, and I'm right back to my everyday 40 CN. So,
by the end of the weekend,
yeah,
just middle of the week when you get used to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So, anything to add before we leave you on your way? I heard you roasted that 5-stand. What was your score?
Oh yeah, 5-stand went well. I shot 89, so I think it's tied with Cory, runner up right now. I shot the red main pretty good today. Shot 62 on the red main, so it was a good day, and hope to do it again tomorrow.
That's awesome, because I heard the high score on the 5-stand was a 92, if I'm correct. And you're right there, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, 92. It is a big 5-stand.
Yeah, for sure. So I look forward to seeing you in the shoot-off. Well, good luck, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it.
So I'm sitting here with Anthony Matarese. This is Chad Roberts from Dead Pair Podcast. How'd you like the weekend?
It was good. Had a good time. Had my kids with me, and we enjoyed ourselves. Shot okay in a few events. Missed a few more than I should have in the main event, but.
So I saw you out there shooting, and you were looking pretty good. I didn't get any video of you, but do you feel like you're in form right now?
Yeah, I feel like I'm shooting as good as I've ever shot. I just had a couple bad stands in the main, but shot all my other events pretty well.
Right on. So we're watching Cory Kruse shooting for second or third. What do you think about your buddy up there? You think he's got it?
I mean, he hasn't missed one yet, so he doesn't look real nervous.
So you've been coming out to Arizona a lot for the U.S. Open and regionals. Do you have any advice for anybody that is on the fence about coming out here because, they get intimidated by the wind or the black targets or anything like that? What would you say?
It's a great place to shoot. I love shooting out here. The climate's awesome. I love the climate. The desert is just a little unique, but it's definitely something you need to expose yourself to become a better shooter.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Just like as always, still shooting a DT11.
Yep.
What load size did you shoot out here?
1 ounce double A, 1 ounce 1290 8s and 7.5s.
Nice. So what choke were you running? A pair of mods still?
Pair of mods. Yep.
So you still haven't gone down to an open size like you were talking about a year ago?
I put in my skeet choke every now and then.
Nice. You're doing it. You're actually touching your gun. That's awesome. Well, it's good to talk to you again.
Thank you.
All right.
The Dead Pair.
I have a friend of mine and somebody is an up-and-comer that traveled out with me to the U.S. Open, Mr. Alec Sedlacheck. What's going on, my friend?
Not much. How you doing today, Chad?
Not much. I'm just hanging out with you and drinking a beer here over at Tucson Trap and Skeet Club, watching some shoot-offs and stuff. We just watched Anthony win out the prelim against Brandon. That was pretty cool. So let me ask you, you've been coming out here with me for a few years now. You've had some really good success in the desert. What do you attribute that to besides my cool looks and me hanging out and being your coach?
Honestly, just the repetition and being used to the climate out here. I've heard a lot of people from the East Coast say that it's so different to come out and shoot in the desert. And I know when I go back east, it's different for me to go back east and shoot in the woods and the marsh and wherever we go. So definitely being out here, being used to the desert climate, that blue sky is really helping me out this weekend. I'm not scoring as high as I'd like to, but I know I'm shooting like I want to, and hopefully it'll all come together for me soon.
Yeah, so, you've been coming on pretty strong over the last couple of years. I know that you shot a top 10 here in the main event at the Western Regional last year, and then we were down in Houston the year before for the regional there a couple of years ago, and you finished in top 10 in the fee task. So you have your moments, and you've done really well in Double A back when you first started and you were getting into it and starting to go to a lot of shoots with me. You actually won Double A in Super Sport, I believe, 1 year at the Nationals. Is that correct?
That is correct. First year out at the Nationals in 2017, I believe.
Yeah, that was a while ago, so a few years ago. Anyways, so outside that, so far we haven't seen a lot of targets. What do you think of them so far?
Targets have been great. I think it's champion level targets. It's nothing too crazy that feels stupid or out of whack, For getting to go across the country, there have been some times where it's like, okay, I got to shoot a 70-yard target. I don't know when I'm ever going to see that again, and I send a hope and a prayer at it. But this weekend, don't really think I've seen anything too far outside of maybe 50 or 60 yards. Big targets here and there, but not through the whole course, and everything's been fair and definitely competitive, but fair.
That's cool. So, what is your, moving into this year, and this is really your first big event of the year outside of Jack Links with me. What is your goals this year moving forward? You're just starting at it, going at it hard this year with me. I know you got a new job in the industry, working at a local gun range back home. What do you think you're going to be able to do towards the end of the year?
I'm just hoping to keep grinding away, keep finding my rhythm, my stroke, my timing, all that kind of good stuff, and keep training with you and going out there and making sure I'm working with my coach, and you've been my coach since day one, and keep figuring out, what went wrong and doing our pre-shot, post-shot, and post-tournament, I should say, routines, and keep grinding away and keep making sure that the time we do put on range is quality time versus quantity time.
Awesome. Well, good luck for the rest of the weekend. I hope it turns out well for you, and we'll see you later. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Back with Alexander Sedlacheck. It is Sunday afternoon. You've done really well. You came back from a 3-bird deficit to me to tie me with a 178. So we shot 89% on the course. You shot really well. I did beat you in the chip game, or did we tie it out?
I thought we tied out on FITESC. I think we did tie it out.
I think we did. You're right. Yeah, I came on hard, and then you were able to get me. So we played a game, chip games. Talked to some of the other guys, Cory and Travis. Those guys playing some chip games too. So, always talking about the targets. You did really well in the main events. I think you really found your stride on Sunday. Great score with a 63 up over on White. 62. I'm sorry. So I don't want to lie to everybody out there. 62. You were on a 60. I remember the last one you missed. So anyways, like an age-old question, what gun do you shoot? What choke? What load size? What choke size do you use? What glasses, vests, all that good stuff? Go through the list and tell me if you change anything knowing that you're going to be in the desert.
So I shoot a Blaser F3. I shoot pure gold chokes, titaniums. I shoot a 10-15 constriction, 10 on the bottom, 15 on top. I shoot 1 ounce, 8-shot Bornagi golds. I've got Ranger lenses. I try and go as dark as possible that lets enough light through in this sky because I do have some colorblind issues. But I just want to have enough clarity on the target that I can see it without getting blinded by that desert sun out here.
Nice. Did you change up your chokes at all this weekend? 'Cause that seems like a pretty open choke concept, and I know we sat around with Derek and the boys, Derek Mine and Brad Kidd, about chokes and everything, and we were talking about some of the bombs that were thrown out here over the weekend. Did you go up at a choke at all?
I didn't actually. I did talk to Derek about that, and he did say to go tighter. I didn't want to change anything in the middle of the shoot. I might play around with that in some testing later on my own time, but I didn't want to change anything in the middle of my shoot.
Do you think you missed any of your targets because of the chokes you were running?
No. If anything, it was probably the moves I was making or just being out of whack with my timing.
Nice, because I'm here to test everybody. When he hit him hard. So, that doesn't mean you always have to go tight, guys. But, some people, it's all about confidence. I know you run the Ranger React lenses, great lenses. I know you were running a little darker than what I was running for most of the weekend. I know I was testing some of the new stuff maybe that you could see down the road that's for the desert climate or brighter days that we normally see. You shoot the 1 ounce 8s, and I know you didn't shoot any 7.5, so you were getting it done with just the regular go-to stuff that you shoot anywhere you go, right?
That is correct.
That's awesome to hear. So anyways, there you go. So if you guys are out there learning to shoot and you want to hear what the guys are doing out here on the tour, this is what we're doing. All right, thank you.
The Dead Pair.
This is Rad Chat over here with David Radulovich. So, second day's in the books. How's it feeling, buddy?
It feels pretty good. I haven't really got a chance really to practice that much, and so basically coming into this, I knew that my performance was going to be pretty heavily based around my strategy, making my decision making, and if I play my strengths and weaknesses in the current moment really, really well and make good choices on how I want to approach things, because my normal my normal game, so to speak, is fairly aggressive and quick and requires a lot of, you know, being in tune with the gun, so to speak. And if I'm not really at that point yet mechanically, it's kind of hard to do that, but it's so tempting on a lot of these targets. So I have to like basically every station resist my natural urge, which is like, it's
Let it
real.
rip.
Yeah, it's fun, but that challenge is fun. And then there's certain spots where I feel like I can do it, but I think it's been going pretty good.
So let me ask you, with the way that you shoot, with the proprioception style of shooting, I guess is what we'll call it, right? You know, it's the style, right? And do you feel when there's wind involved and the targets are moving around that it makes it kind of difficult to actually get that move to work sometimes?
No, I actually think for me it's kind of like the opposite. The worst weather conditions I can get, honestly, the better for me compared to other people that I'm shooting against, because my shots are taken, like my shots are taken so non-consciously that I don't really have a chance to get conscious of the target changing in the middle of the shot. And because of the way that I shoot, I can make everything happen all at one time, as opposed to like compartmentalizing all the mechanics of the move and needing to take a longer shot. So when it gets really windy, I'm very easily able to take stuff off the arm and kind of eliminate changing transitions and just kind of take everything under power, which tends to work pretty good in wind. But then also when you get target setters that like to throw speed like we have here, then it works out pretty good.
So with us being in the desert, what's your rating of shooting in the desert? You like shooting out here? I know you like taking pictures out here, I've seen.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the actual pictures and are the shooting out here compared to where you normally would shoot?
I think like I've said on my own podcast a couple times, a lot about how I don't really like shooting out here because it's not anything to do with the club or the target setting or anything like that. It's my own weakness in how much my external environment influences me. And I tend not to do super well if I'm not enjoying every aspect of it. So like it's one of the reasons why I don't do too well at nationals generally, because the terrain is so boring. There's not that much trees, and they have everything on a long straight road. And so that influences my ability to like really focus, because I almost like don't want to be there, and I can't resist the urge of that, which is a total weakness in my game, but it's just the way that it is. But for this place, I kind of normally feel the same. But so I kind of normally feel the same. And honestly, one of the reasons why I've tried to take a lot of pictures and do everything that I'm doing is to kind of flip my perspective and make it to where I'm specifically looking for things that are beautiful to kind of bring my dopamine up. And I have to say, and I told this to Tim Miles yesterday, that I'm hugely impressed. I love how he kind of, from the last time I was here, he moved some of the stations up. He has them in really nice places. I love his roads. They're nice and curly, and so you always feel like you're in your own little area. And I told him, I said, I've been publicly talking down on you, but I got to eat my words because I like it.
I like your style.
Yeah.
So with that being said, what would be your favorite course here? If you were to tell somebody like, look, it's your first time out to the U.S. Open or any big shoot that they have in here in Arizona, what would you tell them that they have to shoot? Would it be the 5-stand, the main event, obviously, but like is FITAS like special because of the way where they put it? There's a little bit of more trees and terrain out there, or is it just in general everything?
I mean, I kind of feel like they all seem fairly similar in terms of aesthetic look to it. I'm definitely not I have an aversion to shooting traps, so the 5-stand was fairly bad for me. But I don't know. I would say, are you talking about target-wise or location-wise?
Just in general, like if you were to tell somebody, hey, you got to make sure if you come out to Arizona, shoot this area, go shoot their FITAS, because it's cool how they set everything out there. It's not something you'll see anywhere else. Like we can see 5-stand, but it is different here because the mountains are so far away, right? And it looks like the mountains, 4 miles away when it's actually about 50, and the targets can look like they're bombs when they're really not. So, I mean, is it just a overall out here? Like for me personally, I like shooting some of the part of the super sport course was in the trees. Some of the FITAS was in the trees. So it made it more fun for me to, get involved with the game a little bit out there. However, like you said, when you go around and shoot the main event and it's, all the curly roads and you're almost by yourself on every station, it makes it fun too. So it's just different for me. But I always ask that, like, where would you go if there's one event that you have to shoot it at somewhere like this? What would you say, or would you just say go all in, baby?
I would say I really liked the look of the super sporting, because I thought I agree, it was kind of like in the trees, kind of cool stuff. But the only downside about that area is here, where the way that the trees work with all the mesquite bushes. If you're in a really cool area with trees, they can't really throw anything low, so everything's got to be real high. And so which I personally love targets up in the air. So I would probably pick a course that had a little bit of both, where I would say like one of the main events, or maybe the FITAS. The FITAS area is pretty cool because you can. They've got some stuff. They've got open areas where you can shoot low, but they also got those high trees you can throw birds up in the air.
Excellent. So as always, what's the gun you shoot?
Parazzi.
What is the choke size? I know you don't run chokes in your gun, so what's the constriction?
Right now the barrels that I'm shooting are 24-24.
I like it. What's the load size you shoot in the desert? Do you change up, or you run everything all the same?
I run everything all the same. I shoot the 1 ounce game bore, 1,300 feet per second, 7.5 white gold.
White gold, no onyx, huh?
As soon as it comes out, or as soon as I can get it, I'm definitely gonna do it. But I haven't been able to get it yet.
Glasses, any special lenses you run, like just the regular? I'm blind and colorblind, so I have to run what they give me.
Yeah, I basically have. I have 4 lenses really. I use 2 mainly. I use the red green, it's the RGHL and the RGLL. I run that 80% of the time. Then every once in a while I have the I don't even know what they're called. They don't make them anymore, but they're like these weird blue ones.
Yep.
But then every once in a while I'll put on. I'm wearing them right now. They're the cherry lens, because like on a day like today, I literally have not had a break since 8 in the morning and haven't even got a chance to get out to drive back to the parking lot, and I just got exhausted. So if I put a bright lens on, it kind of opens your eyes up, wakes you up a little bit, and so
and trust me, folks, he still has his gun and his sweet bear pelt vest that I'm seeing here.
Yeah,
it's
this
the new
thing's
Journey podcast vest. I didn't know it was on, but what's on it? But it's just pure chaos that's on it. Like
pure chaos, yeah,
pure chaos. I love it. So what else do you have to say about everything that's going on out here at the U.S. Open? You like it? Having fun with you think the targets are right where they need to be for the championship?
I think that I want to say this now because if let's say I were to win tomorrow, it's going to sound like I'm saying that because I won. But what I want to say is that I'm very impressed by everything. I was wrong about a lot of stuff. And here's the thing about this place. Tim Miles really knows what he's doing, obviously. And the very first time I was ever here, I want to say this was maybe 10 years ago or something. I wasn't I'll be honest, I was not very impressed with the club. I wasn't, when I say the club, I mean like the layout of the courses, the target setting. So like I would say like I wasn't really impressed with the place. That there were a lot of weird rules, a lot of weird stuff, and I just didn't have that much fun. The second time I came, huge improvement. Third time I came, improvement. But it was still a lot of stuff I didn't like. And this time I can't really find it. I mean, I'm a picky guy. I like to try to be, I'm friends with all the guys that own and run these places, so I like to try to give them as much advice as I can. And I have to commend Tim Miles, because every time I come, he puts a lot of effort into making this place better and changing it in every way that I see that it's pretty good. So I'd say that about the club, I'm impressed, and I want to make sure that goes on the record before Sunday night.
Cool.
And then I would say target wise, I think they are crazy fun targets, and I think that I think there has been a trend, and this is going to be really, really important to say. There has been a trend in our sport where the targets are just getting so freaking hard, and because they're being catered to the top pros of the top pros, and that's kind of like the mindset. And the thing about that is I freaking love that. Obviously, all of us love that, but 95 to 98% of everybody else here doesn't love that, and they don't have fun. And what I really think is great about these targets is that, number one, they're not that way, but they're set in a way to where there's a level of technicality and a little bit of a finesse to them, to where it is possible so far. I've only shot the red and the white. It's possible so far to run both of those courses. Absolutely possible to straight them for myself. I have not, but it is definitely possible. But to do that, because of the technicality of it, you literally have to shoot a perfect round. Whereas in other tournaments that we've gone to, it's not really possible to shoot a perfect score on these other courses, even if you shoot a perfect round. So, but the thing about it is the technicality of these, there's nothing crazy far away. There's nothing, I mean, I haven't seen a bird over 45, 50 yards. I don't even think I've seen anything 50 yards away. And there's one straight score so far. At the biggest tournament of the year outside of the national championship. I think these are like perfectly set birds to where you cater to the top pros, because it makes the game challenging where it's a straightable course, but you have to be perfect. And I think that's perfect, because then everybody else can enjoy it too.
Yeah, because I've had everybody that I teach that have been here, it's like, man, I shot a whatever score they shot, and it wasn't the greatest, but they're like, but I knew I had them. I had a chance to hit them all.
Yeah.
I would have just been better moves or whatever. And I'm like, just make a better move tomorrow, make a better plan, whatever
Exactly.
it is. So.
And they're targets that, like, I can go up there and hit a 4 out of 6, and a guy in C class will go run the station.
There you
go.
go.
And I think that's cool. I really think these are great targets for that.
Excellent. Well, thank you, David, and we'll see how you do on Sunday. Good luck.
Thank you very much. You too.
The Dead Pair.
All right, back to you guys. This is Rad Chad Roberts with the Dead Pair Gang. So we're going to do something a little different. Because there was some video taken of me, we thought it would be hilarious if somebody interviewed me. So I'm grabbing my best buddy, Alec Sedlacheck, and we're going to see what he has to ask me. Let's hope it's not too crazy for y'all out there. Okay, here we go. Alec, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, Chad, what's going on today? How are you?
I am great. I'm great. I love being out here in the desert.
I was going to say, how'd you like being at the Open out here? Did you think the targets were fair? Did you like the targets this weekend? We're here on Sunday, and I know you shot pretty well. You held it all together through the weekend. How are you feeling through the course of Thursday to today?
For me, it was, I was trying to get a little bit better percentage. If you guys follow me on Facebook or any of my social media, you'll know that I shot in the 70s, in the middle of the 70 pack for my average in the tournament out at Jack Link's. And, everybody says, well, that was a really hard tournament, and Doug Vine set some crazy targets, and Joel Skull always gets me, or, he's just a great target setter. Yes, they were hard. Some of them were extremely hard out there. This is just one of those different tournaments. Some people would say that these targets were definitely easier. Even though they were easier, they were harder to shoot in some scenarios because we have other elements. One is the desert weather. It was windy on a couple days that we shot there, and it made some stuff get really hard. Another thing is you're dealing with the different blue sky out on the West Coast than you deal with anywhere else in the country. It's just different looking. Two, things that look like they're 20 yards away or could be 40 yards away. Because there's no way to see the difference in the depth perception is really bad. So, it's just a really hard thing to get your depth perception down. However, I think because of that, you could say a lot of people I've interviewed this week said that, targets were a little bit softer than what they've seen at the Opens in the past. But however, something that like Anthony Matarese and myself were talking about, even though the targets could be called easier or softer, the scores were not really high. We were surprised that the high scores were really very similar to what was won with down in Jack Link. So, 189, 188, 186 in there is going to put you in the top, 4 or 5 shooters. So, I think, it was competitive. It was awesome. There was towers. There was all kinds of targets. One of the targets that wasn't there that we saw where we usually see out there is there was no ground rabbits, which I was pretty stoked on, because if you know me, my opinion on that. I don't think rabbits should be used for a big title defense. They're great to shoot at. It's a lot of fun, but with the variety or variables that they can that can happen with a rabbit on the ground, especially after it's been shot up all over the place over the weekend. It changes how they run, so you're not getting the consistent, or at least similar consistency. So I have my opinions on that. It's not that big of a deal. I'm a pretty good rabbit shooter. So so yeah, it was great. I love the terrain. I love the shooting out here. It was a good shoot. Great times. I can't wait till we can come back here again.
Let's go off that a little bit more. Did you personally do anything to adjust for the weather or the desert out here? Did you change lenses, or did you change any of your setup or anything like that?
Only thing I did is come out here more often. So I've been teaching a lot in Arizona over the last 3 months. I got a lot of snowbirds down here in Tucson. So I've made 2 or 3 trips down here since January to shoot and to train and teach. So I got my, we may not shoot a lot of targets as coaches just because we're teaching so much if we're busy. But what we do is we see a lot of targets usually when we're busy. So I got to see a lot of desert targets with this terrain. So I felt like I had a good handle on that. I did do, in my own analysis, I did notice that, out of the top 10 shooters, the majority of them were maintain style shooting, type of concept type shooters. Like we had Wendell, who won it, who shoots from the front of a target. David was in there, Todd Hitch, Derek Mine. They're all guys that do some form of maintain, to either maintain pull away or maintain as their, Cory Kruse always starts in front of the target. It seemed like some of what we would call the barrel draggers are the Zach Kinbaums of the world, who start from the target, feel the target, and pull away. Seems like their numbers weren't as big on the main event courses. I'm not sure. I thought it was just interesting that happened. But then again, maybe it's because the targets weren't that clear. You're shooting all black targets out there. So sometimes, when you're trying to look really hard at a target that you can't really lock onto, maybe some of those other techniques work better. So for me, I noticed that, I was employing all the different techniques. I saw the targets as well as I know how to look at a target. I didn't adjust my gun at all. I shot the same chokes and same loads that I always shoot. So yeah, for me, there wasn't a major adjustment. I think the biggest adjustment is just the long amount of time we're out there in the wind, and, your eyes start burning, and just the grind that we have to endure for 4 or 5 days straight can get a little old, but it wasn't too bad this time.
Now, let me throw you a little bit of a curveball here. We were behind Clint Hinton all weekend, and he was putting up some monsters on that blue course and that white course, I believe. I think we finished on red on Sunday. Do you think that him not being on the super squad allowed him to put up those big scores, and maybe he got a little nervous at the end of the weekend? Do you think the super squad helped Derek and Wendell finish out on the end of the weekend? What are your thoughts on the super squad in general?
Yes, no, yes, and no. And I think the last yes. So what do I mean by that? Yes, I think the super squads I've shot on really, high profile squads before. And I've shot on squads where I randomly squatted with, Uncle Jerry with Velcro straps. And, it is what it is. It's whoever you get. You kind of learn. I look at it this way. If somebody doesn't know how to shoot, I'm going to see more targets. If I'm with my friends and having a good time, which is usually why I shoot this, and I'm shooting with you and Lenny and some of the guys, and we have a great time. It's awesome. I have found that I up my game sometimes when I'm shooting around other top good shooters. And I think that's why you and I push each other so much, is because you're a good shooter. I'm a good shooter, and we try to do our best. So yes, I think that, shooting on big squads, I followed the super squads around. I followed Derek and the main number one squad over the last day. These guys aren't talking to each other too much. They're in their game, and they're focused. And I thought that was pretty cool, because that makes them focus. And sometimes when you have your friends there, you're screwing around, talking about the last station, not paying too much attention to what you're doing between stations, so you could get out of focus pretty easily. So yeah, I see that could hinder you. Also on the backside, Clint's with his family. He was, he didn't make, based on qualifications, the super squad. it's inevitable if they start doing a super squad thing more often where they actually bring it to the regionals, which I think is great. I hope they do in the future, but it'll be inevitable that somebody that is not on a super squad will win. I think it can happen. And I think once it does, you might get, a group of us saying, oh, he should have been on a super squad. That would have never happened because of the pressure. Maybe so. Clint had that in the bag. He just had to pretty much put up a decent score on Sunday on the white. And he could have walked away with it, but it didn't happen. He shot a little tight. He just said he told me he wasn't, feeling him and seeing him as well as he did the first 2 days, and that could have been nerves. It could have been a lot of things. So yeah, so there's a yes and no answer to that question, but that's a great question. So yes, I love super squads. Let's all get on them. I think they should do that for every class. I think it would be just awesome to watch E-class guys that are shooting against each other for the win just crapping their pants because, the top 5 are on their squad and they just don't know what to do. I would probably have more fun filming that than anything.
That would be pretty cool to see those guys get a chance at the big leagues essentially before they even get there.
Yeah.
That would be pretty awesome. All right, last question here. What gun do you shoot? What chokes? What ammunition? What vests? What lenses? All that good stuff.
All the cool stuff that the kids should be shooting out there. No, for me, I shoot a Blaser F3. Love the gun. It's awesome. It does not kick. I can see through it. It's just a pointer. Triggers are pretty much the best thing on the market, in my opinion. It's a shooter. If I wasn't sponsored, I'd probably still shoot this gun. And that's no joke, and that's out there. I shoot Fiocchi ammunition, same deal there. I love their ammunition. It was the first ammunition I started shooting in this game. Hopefully it's the last ammunition I shoot in this game. So I will always shoot it as long as it's available. I love me some little rhinos, 1 ounce 8s. I do carry 7.5s with me. I shot 2 boxes approximately over the whole weekend. One in the prelim, I shot some because of the wind and just some of the on-edge stuff in Super Sport and some of the Rabus on the FITAS. I shot some 7.5s. And that's about it. Chokes, I shoot kicks chokes. I shoot 17s, so I keep them. They're not quite light mods and they're not quite mods. I like them. I never changed them. Actually, I did change them once. I shot a light. I put a 0 in for one of my stations. I don't remember which day it was, but I shot 0s at it, and it was good. But yeah, I hardly ever change. Vest, of course, my Rad Chad Pro model from Bear Pelt. They've been great with me. Tie-dye is cool. And then for glasses, AIs, React AIs from Ranger. I love them. I was playing around with a super duper dark version for desert that they're messing with. I tested them this weekend. I really, really, really liked them. But for the most part, I stayed in just a bright light or the medium light ones. I saw Wendell out there shooting in a yellow lens on Sunday. I don't know how he did it without burning his retinas out. But, when you get old, you lose the yellow. And maybe that's what it is. But he sure put a pounding on us. But yeah, anything outside that, I shoot what everybody else shoots. I put a hat on and I get her done,
Well, thank you very much, Chad.
You're very welcome, and thank you for interviewing me.
Well, Jason, it was unfortunate. Our schedules didn't allow to go to the U.S. Open this year. We went last year, of course, for the big Rick Hemingway targets. But at least we got a guy like Chad to sit there, put the work in, and get us all those great interviews.
Yeah, for sure. He worked his butt off. I'm telling you, man, I asked for 4 or 5, and when he came back with like 11 of them, I'm like, are you kidding me, Chad?
Overachiever.
So overachiever. But thank you very much to Rad Chad Roberts. Awesome dude. He's starting to really turn his game around. I don't know if you noticed that or not, Sean, looking at the scores.
I've been watching. He's been up at the top of the leaderboard quite a bit.
He's getting there, isn't he?
Yep.
So hats off to him. Thank you to everyone that we were able to get an interview with. Sorry Sean and I couldn't be there, but thank you for spending some time with Chad. Get over to YouTube. Check this out. I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, you're really doing yourself a big injustice. You really need to check it out and see some of these guys shooting. Also, thank you very much to our sponsors. Please, please, please. It's the sponsors that back us, that allow us to bring you these interviews. Elite Shotguns, Fiocchi USA, Bear Pelt, Atlas Traps, RE Ranger, Odo Pro Technologies, Rhino Chokes, Vero Beach Clay Shooting, White Flyer Targets, Don Grant, and Score Chaser. Don't forget Score Chaser. Get signed up for the 2024 World English. Get signed up for our Dead Pair Podcast tournament down at Vero Beach in December. I mean, how cool is that, right, Sean?
Absolutely. It'd be a great place to be.
And we're going to be there, of course, like Sean said, setting targets, but we're also going to be doing some video. We're going to be doing a podcast from the Dead Pair patio.
Heck yeah.
How cool is that?
Have some adult beverages after the shoot.
Maybe a few choice ones.
1 or 2 or 3.
Or 9 or 10. I don't know.
Whatever.
You're driving.
I'm not judging. So
I'm not driving. Are you driving?
No, I'm not driving.
We better call Uber.
Uber.
I wonder if Palmer can give us a ride back to the hotel.
Well, I don't know if he'll be in any better shape than we will be, but whatever.
All right. But see, come on, folks. Come on down and have fun with us. It'll be a good time. But hey, listen, Sean Alley, what do we tell everybody every week?
Get out there, get shooting, get somebody out there that's never participated in this sport. Put a gun in their hand, show them how much fun it is. Take them to a tournament, take them to a charity shoot. If you already shoot, maybe think about getting your buddies and you registered or signed up for registered targets, and just go out there and have fun. That's what the sport's all about, having fun.
Yes. In the meantime, we hope you're checking out all of our sponsors. All their links are always in our podcast description. Real easy to find. Go check out their products. If you're already using them, thank you very much. Give them a shout out. If you started using them because of us, give us a shout to them. Hey, look, I found you guys through the Dead Pair, and tell them how much you love their product. They'd love to hear back from you.
Absolutely.
Until next week, Mr. Alley.
Can't wait to see you all back here on the Dead Pair Podcast.
We'll see you next time on the Dead Pair Podcast.
The Dead Pair.
The Dead Pair Podcast is brought to you by Elite Shotguns and Vero Beach Clay Shooting and is fueled by Fiocchi USA. The Dead Pair theme song was written, arranged, and produced by Toby Tomplay. Special thanks to the following sponsors: Bear Pelt, Rhino, Oto Pro, Dawn Grant, Atlas Trap Company, RE Ranger, and White Flyer Targets.